It's the Tom and Rob chat for the week of May 26th. It's election day here in Texas,
That
for
is
what it's
indeed
worth.
true. Yeah. Runoff day.
I'm pretty sure Paxton's going to win. What do you think?
If I had to guess, I would say yeah.
Yeah,
I did read somebody who thought that his numbers late were not great, but who knows?
I don't know. Now there's like, all the national news is speculating like, what will it mean if Paxton wins this thing, and what does that mean for Cornyn, and does his friends in the Senate mean blah blah blah. There was a Again, I'm kind of shaking my head about the way Paxton's team is trying to portray Cornyn. This kind of bland milquetoast who's been standing, 2 inches behind Mitch McConnell for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
They were talking to a regular Texan. Who do you think? And he's like, well, I don't know. Paxton's kind of weird, but I don't know if Cornyn's been really on the right side with Republicans so much. And I'm like, what? What?
This
Has
is
he been like hearing
Republican
Paxton ads
leadership.
in his head for the last 3 months or something?
Yeah.
Cornyn not with he's the most Republican Republican. Anyway, so
Well,
that
they're
weirds me
having a
out. That just some
schizophrenic moment.
random Texan would say that. I'm like, what do you mean?
Well, yeah.
Anyway,
Some people just don't follow stuff, and when they hear, maybe the guy's really not a Republican. He's more of a Trumpist, and a Trumper
yeah, he means
says,
MAGA or something.
and Trump says, well, he's not. He hasn't been with me when the chips were down, and was late to support me, and maybe heard that and said, well,
I don't
maybe
know.
John's not. I don't know.
Cornyn's own ad says, I voted with Trump 99% of the time. Well, I guess that 1% is what's getting you. You're out of there. That's the way it goes.
It's just,
Otherwise, the news of the world is pretty bad. The Iran deal, who knows? I can't trust what anyone's saying about that. I do know it's getting more expensive to go get gas.
yeah, it sure as hell is.
And so everyone's got to be noticing that. But yeah, I don't. This was a big holiday weekend, and normally it's like supposed to be a movie weekend. And I'm like,
Oh
it's a
yeah.
movie desert. I'm like, I don't see anything I want to go to the theater and see. And that's bad for Hollywood if they can't even get me to go out on Memorial Day weekend to see something. I
Well,
guess,
what were the movies they were trotting out for Memorial
well,
Day?
the Mandalorian and Grogu movie,
Oh, right.
Star Wars movie, but they
I
they
heard
pizzled
it didn't
away
do
my
well.
interest in the series by stretching it out too long and making me lose interest long before this movie came out. Another thing, I might have seen it if they told me Jon Favreau directed it, because
Well,
he's the
he
guy.
directed the series, didn't he?
He started the series, directed the first few episodes, directed
Oh, okay. He didn't
the
do them all. That's right.
cornerstone episodes of it, directed the first two Iron Man movies. And so I find him interesting, but it's like they have not once mentioned his name in any of the advertising for it. I was like, if you had
Hmm.
told me that, I might have gone, but you didn't. So I don't. They look like they're hiding it or something. It's kind of strange. Um, yeah, this is why I'm like, do I have enough to talk about? I did see a stupid movie called I can't even Starcrash. It's like after Star Wars came out and they tried to Cormanize little space
Yeah,
adventure movies,
there were lots of
really
those.
cheaply made in Italy or whatever. And the Alamo was showing one on Weird Wednesday, and the guy came out and says, "Actually, this is one of my favorite movies because it's got a really sweet heart underneath all the cheapness." And it was kind of, and they had a kind of a robot, and for some reason he had a southern accent. For some reason, well, princess, we better get out of here for no reason. And then Christopher Plummer shows up for a paycheck, but he's like, you know what? I'm actually going to turn in a performance, and he turns in a performance that doesn't fit in with anything else because he's playing the Emperor of the Galaxy, but actually
Right.
a benevolent emperor. And he comes out and he comes on the stage and says, We must work for peace in our time so that no man may suffer. And he does this like he's doing a little monologue on it on the London stage, and everyone else is clowning around in these really cheapo outfits. And my son, you must save my only son. It's, and so you're laughing because like he is really well, he's not phoning it in, but he's doing his own thing that has nothing to do with
With the
what,
rest of the movie,
with the
yeah.
rest of it. But he's like, I get I get to go to Italy for 6 weeks. Okay. It's like the Michael Caine way of choosing projects. Oh, Riviera. All right, I'll do that. Um, no problem. He's not embarrassed about Michael Caine about doing Jaws 4. It's like you should see the house it bought. No, no regrets. I've
Yep.
had a lovely time spending that money on things that make my life better. Yeah, I don't know. All right, let me see if I got anything to say.
And you say it was called Star Crash?
Starcrash. Yeah.
Okay. I never heard of that.
Yeah, because I've heard of several of the others, and it had like a Corman distribution logo on it, but he didn't
Okay.
actually make this one. Someone else made it, and he
Picked it up for
distributed
distribution.
it. So it's not officially a Corman production. Like there's another one, I don't know, Battle of the Stars that he did make.
I think
That
I
like John
remember Battle of the
Sayles wrote.
Stars. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's another Corman one that young James Cameron was the art director on and stuff. So it suddenly looks fantastic, even though it's just as cheap as the other movies that Corman was doing.
Yeah.
Um, like who was doing that stuff? Um, oh, there's this. This has nothing to do with anything, but trying to find like nice things to watch. There's this little show made in Britain called The Repair Shop. I don't know if you ever heard of this. I first
No.
came across it on Amazon Prime. It might have been because I had a BritBox subscription or something.
Mm.
Anyway,
Hmm.
they got a barn out in the country. It's almost like and people come with old broken things or like a painting that's got a thing in it, or this was my grandfather's train set. I'd love to see it run, or my dad had this, and it's all these sweet, normal British people coming with their little problems, and then these expert craftsmen. They have 6 or 7 each with their own specialty. There's a metal worker, there's a clockmaker, a gearsmith, an art restorer, someone who does ceramics, can fit pottery back together and touch it up so you
Oh.
don't even notice. So you get the satisfaction of watching 3 things just go from broken or messed up and dirty to clean and repaired and shiny, and it can and it actually moves again. And then the wonderful look of just these are precious things to these people, these
Hmm.
just ordinary people, and they light up with emotion that they've got this thing back again. There's a
Mm.
couple of sweet auntie looking ladies that fix soft toys like teddy bears,
Hmm.
and like, oh, they always say, who have we got here? We'll and say him, and they have to actually like take them apart and wash them like but then they restuff them, and they're like, we have to keep as much of them originally as possible so that it's still the same teddy.
Right.
And then you see the person see their teddy all put back together and smiling again, and they just like tears come out. I said, it's just so sweet. It's like there's nothing malevolent in it at all.
Yeah,
It
it's like that. Those kinds of shows do better in Britain than they do
they
here.
do.
Because I saw Norman uh, Ramsey's show. What was it called? Oh,
The,
Kitchen Nightmares
the original
in
Kitchen Nightmares, the
UK.
British one.
Yeah, he was nice to them.
Yes.
Here, he's a total jackass.
Yeah.
And apparently the idea is that if you don't have controversy in an American show, nobody wants to watch
He
it.
Americanized it. But I've seen the
Yeah.
original
There's
shows, and
more
yeah, they're different.
humiliation. Yeah, they're
He
not
was actually
he
trying
doesn't
to help the
humiliate people.
restaurants.
Right. There's a level of humiliation in the American version that there isn't in
Yeah.
the
Anyway, so, and
yeah.
I actually, when I first discovered it on Prime, it said there were 4 seasons of it, and I don't know what I was going through at the time, but I just started binging it. Like, well, and I got to the end of season 2 and actually said, you actually don't have permission to watch seasons 3 and 4. And so I like ran it
Oh,
out too fast. And I was like, don't. I shouldn't have watched them all in a very quick. But then I just discovered they have their own official YouTube channel and have put all the original episodes there. And then there were
oh,
more seasons past season 4. So there's just like this huge bounty of like almost too many episodes to watch now. But when I'm feeling like calming down, or even like let me watch something to like gently drift off to sleep, it's a really nice thing because it's all just quiet and tinkery. And I really love seeing all the craftsmen do their craftsmanship to repair things and clean the clock guy is especially good with all his tiny tools, and he has two sets of glasses that he puts on for extra magnification. And I
because he's
think that
probably
would be a
dealing
good
with
job
tiny,
to
tiny.
to restore and fix things. That you see the woodworking guy and all the things he does to polish up a nice piece of wood so it looks really good again. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. It'd be nice to have a job like that. I keep thinking about it. Like I don't actually. They've clearly all spent decades learning their trades. The leather working lady, who,
Yeah.
funnily enough, has kind of a leathery looking face. But they're all just these sweet British people being nice. It seems like the people, are not paying. They'd have to pay a lot of money to not do it on a television show. But because the television show is here, they're actually getting all this work for free,
For
even.
free. Yeah.
And so the niceness just abounds, and that's really pleasant. Oh, that was the thing on the back of my head. So the last time we did an episode, I was happy to see we actually got a little uptick in views. I mean, we're still very
Oh,
small, but there were more than we did 3 in a row, and it actually poked up a little, and I drifted off to sleep watching it. And YouTube will keep playing videos if you stop watching, and it tries to keep them sort of thematically the same. Um, and I woke up to two different people having a grown up adult conversation, politically leaning slightly left, just having a conversation video. And I thought, YouTube has figured out what we are. It knows our genre now. That might help. So I don't know. I mean, it is weird the fact that we talk about not just politics, but movies and life and stuff, and so that they're a little confused
right.
by that because
TV.
it's all over the place. But
Yeah.
I was like, yes, I think YouTube is starting to figure out what we are. The algorithm kind of gets this format,
Right.
just two people talking actually, and they're like, oh, and they're not a reaction video, they're not a this, that, and the other, they're not hardcore politics, they're just chatting. And
Right.
I don't know how many other people do that, but like, yeah, okay. So that could increase. So that was a little bit why I wish I hadn't missed last week, because maybe there is also a way in which I can click a box saying this is a podcast. So it also has that going for it as well.
Ah,
YouTube officially knows this to be a podcast, whatever
okay.
that means. But it has a checkbox, and I check it. Yes, put it into that slot. And so regularity of episodes probably makes a difference to it somehow. I don't know.
I'm
Um,
sure it does.
uh, this is not. Oh, had nothing to do with it. I was looking at the movie Predator again, which doesn't have anything to do with anything, but fun movie from the '80s. And I was like, wasn't that directed by? And I spent 10 minutes trying to remember his name. John McTiernan, who directed Die Hard and The Hunt
Yeah.
for Red October. And so a really impressive action movie guy. And I was like, oh, he actually made Predator before he made Die Hard, like immediately before. It's like what got him the job of directing Die Hard. I
Oh, I
almost had
didn't
them
know that.
flipped in my mind, like you do Die Hard and then you do Predator. No, it was somehow the other way around. I can't remember where he got trained, whether he did go to film school of some kind, but I heard Tarantino talking about him, saying when he appeared on the scene, he's like, "Oh, someone's got the natural action movie chops that we haven't seen in a while." just like born to do it kind of thing. And
Yeah.
I get feel and smart too. Like the guys that make Independence Day, they make a good blockbuster movie, but I don't find them to be very intelligent. And I think McTiernan is an intelligent action movie director.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true. He tried to put a little depth in there.
and strange, I came across, I saw Shane Black in the credits of Predator, and I was like, what? And he was actually an actor in it. He didn't write it. He didn't have anything to do with making it. He played a nerdy looking guy that looks like he might be a screenwriter. There's one guy on the action team that gets killed very quickly, and it happens to be Shane Black. And I'm like, I wonder why he was there. Don't know.
I only remember the big Indian dude,
Yes.
Jesse, the Body Ventura,
Yes.
and
Carl
Lord,
Weathers.
Carl Weathers. I forgot about Carl
The
Weathers.
big
Okay.
yeah. Big famous thing.
Yeah,
It
but
is
they
still
definitely, those four guys were all big, burly dudes.
big men. All
Yeah.
four.
Yeah. And Shane Black was like the
He
little
was
mousy
like the
guy.
little guy. Well, I don't know. Yeah, he's supposed to be the intellectual guy on the team with glasses and stuff.
Okay. I don't even remember him.
Yeah, I know.
I almost
He
forgot Carl
doesn't
Weathers.
last very long.
Okay.
But it's like, why was that him? Otherwise has no real acting career at all. So it's funny to me. Somehow that must have something. I mean, but that was around the same time he had sold the Lethal Weapon script.
Yeah, it
Because
must
that
have
was
been.
also 1980. No, that was 85. So he had already sold that, and they'd made the first Lethal Weapon movie, hadn't made the second one yet. And then he pops up as an actor in this Predator
Maybe
movie. I
he
don't
knew
know.
John McTiernan.
Maybe he knew John McTiernan, and there's some. Hey, you want to go with us to Puerto Vallarta? I actually went for some reason on a trip to Puerto Vallarta once, and the set of Predator, like the camp where they shoot up everything, is not it. Well, this was a long time ago. This was in the 90s. Was a tourist destination.
Oh,
You take a little bus into the jungle and like, oh yeah, there are the huts. There really wasn't much to do, but they sold it for the tourists to go see it, which was funny.
that was the camp they busted into
The
to.
cop they busted into and shot a
Okay.
million rounds of
My God.
ammo.
And
A handheld Gatling gun. One of the guys has.
yeah,
Just,
that was Jesse the Body. I think had that.
I ain't got time to bleed. One of my favorite lines, not just in that movie, but in many movies. Um, this has nothing to do with something about the year 1977. Um, I was 7, and it was the year that three of my favorite things all overlapped. I was really into The Jungle Book, and it got a re-release that year. All those
Hmm.
songs, and I had been into the $6 Million Man for several years, and getting the toys and watching it, and it was still going strong in a top-rated show. And then Star Wars happened
Hmm.
at the same time, so all these things were like making me vibrate with excitement all at the same time in one year of history. And Star Wars had the same toy maker as the $6 Million Man, Kenner. They
Kenner.
made
Yeah.
both sets of toys, so I felt the kinship to all of them at the same. Oh, and I was reading. I was really into reading the Incredible Hulk comic book, and the first TV movie came out in 1977. So I was just mind blown. And it was made by the same guy that made the $6 Million Man TV series. The same
I didn't know.
creative guy
Oh
decided to
wow.
move on from that to do the Hulk show. So hi. And so just like everything I wanted in life was on at the same time. It was just an
Interesting.
incredible time for me. Um, it's probably shaped who I am now, in fact. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that because I was like, did all those really happen at the same time? Yes, you can look them up. They all really did. I don't know.
Do you know the answer to the question why they changed Bruce Banner to David Banner for the TV show?
Yes. Um, I've heard this explained a few times. both by the creator of the show and by Stan Lee.
Okay.
One, there was sort of a networking objection to it. They thought Bruce sounds too wimpy. That was one weird thing.
Bruce?
And there was another. I mean, the opening credits of the show. I'm looking at a gravestone that says David Bruce Banner. Now, I wish I had time to prepare this because I have heard the answer to this. They had a specific reason why they thought David was very much a better choice than Bruce, and that they really wanted to go with that, and it was absolutely a deliberate decision. And they
Okay.
thought about it, and then they said, no, 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 we're all in agreement. We want to change this name to David every week, and it works, I guess. But
It just seemed odd. I mean, why change the name? I just, what was wrong with Bruce Banner?
I don't know. I
I mean,
mean, there was a thing
did
where,
they not like the alliteration that Marvel liked
yeah,
to
because
do
it
with
was
all their
kind of
characters?
a habit or a shtick that Stan Lee liked. Peter Parker, Bruce Banner,
Right.
Reed Richards. He
Yeah.
loved that thing, and they're like, somehow they thought, I don't know, Bruce doesn't sound like a doctor, but they also some suit at the Universal Television said, I don't like the name Bruce. It sounds wimpy or so there's a bit of that too. No, I wish I could. Well, I could look that up because I know I have some DVD over there with a commentary where they answer this question, and I know there is a definitive answer to it. This is where I wish
Well,
I could pull
it's
up a
not
little clip and show it to you right now.
it's not the first time, like the original bad guy in the comics. His name was Brutus. But then when he got into the cartoon, he was Bluto.
Oh,
And it's like, why did Brutus become Bluto?
I know the answer to that as
You
well.
know that one too?
I do know that one too. Okay, so we're talking about Popeye. Now, Popeye originally, of course, was a newspaper comic strip. Actually
Right.
grew out of Olive Oil's comic strip. She
Oh, I
was
didn't know
the
that.
star of Thimble Theater. Popeye walked in as a guest because it's a seaport town. So, like, this sailor walked in one day, and then he just instantly blew up in popularity. Like Fonzie on Happy Days taking over, and it's not about Richie, it's about Fonzie now.
Right.
And then they start doing animated cartoons. Um, and this is, concurrent with it's the 1930s was when the cartoons first started happening.
Mm-hmm.
And so the newspaper strip is still running. So they kind of have two different sets of licensing agreements. And it was the animated cartoons that invented Bluto to have a foil every week. And that was perfect. And those cartoons are like amazingly good. They're really fun. And so the cartoons became so popular, people started writing to the newspaper saying, why isn't Bluto in the comic strip? So then the cartoonist LZ Segar was under pressure to put Bluto into the strip, but then the Fleischer Brothers animation studio said, "Hey, we invented Bluto." So he's like, "Okay, I'll put a
Oh,
guy like him, but I'll have to come up with another name, so I'll call him Brutus." So that's why there's a Brutus and a Bluto.
I never knew that. That's so cool. Yeah,
There you
that
go.
happens every now and then. But it's because he wasn't in the original comic strip
Right,
that he was invented by they wanted to have a heel foil every
right.
episode.
Who would mash on olive oil? Hey,
Yep.
you'll marry me, and he just like carry her off.
Oh.
Oh, and it's funny because what's funny about those cartoons, sometimes Popeye's blasé and doesn't quite care. It's like, take her. I'm busy today. Um, but he eventually goes and saves her. And what's funny about, like the Robert Altman movie
Hmm.
is that it's mostly a recreation of that original Thimble Theater strip about Olive Oil and her
And Sweet
family,
Pea.
all the
Yeah.
oils, castor oil, I don't know. And so people that had forgotten all about that watched the movie and go, what? what is this?
What does that have to do
What
with
does that
the?
have to do with Popeye? Why does Popeye seem like he doesn't even belong in this town? It's like he
Right.
doesn't. This was the but Altman and like knew about the original strips and wanted to do the movie about that and make Popeye kind of a guy that just sort of arrives in town randomly one day and then things happen. So, and it was, it took me years to learn that and retroactively go like, oh, now I can sort of appreciate that movie. Didn't really, it's still a little bit hard for me. And I don't really, it's kind of a musical and I didn't really like the songs that much. Although they were written by Harry Nilsson and he's kind of a
Yeah,
good songwriter, I guess.
he is.
He is. He was more famous as a singer than a songwriter, but he's got some really good tunes out there in the world. Um, Anyway, there was a weird I saw, but when I turn on my TV, it has its own like free programming. Um, and I have it set to some like, vintage classics movies, and it's a grab bag of everything from the Cary Grant, Katharine Hepburn movie Holiday,
Hmm.
George Cukor thing, to Easy Rider as a later thing. It doesn't go much into the 80s. It stops about, it's 39 to 69 is this movie grab bag. I never knew how
Mm.
many dumb comedies Jack Lemmon made in his early career, but he made dozens and dozens of things where he was just kind of the schmuck going through life and chasing a girl that didn't, anyway. There's lots of
Yeah,
them.
there are a lot of
They're all
those.
throwaway little tissue paper things. Um, but I was sort of watching Easy Rider again and going, and it's got a kind of weird sudden ending. Like the movie kind of climaxes with them taking LSD in a cemetery, and you can tell so did the filmmakers. And then they get up the next day, and I remember when I was watching this movie in film school with my film school friend, he kept harping on about after they go on that trip, they have a campfire and Dennis Hopper is like, all right, we made it. We're on Easy Street. We're gonna. Their whole goal is to sell a bunch of drugs in Florida and be rich and go
Right.
sailing and have a boat. I'm like, what kind of capitalist thing dream is this? This is not a hippie dream. We're gonna make it rich and live the easy life. Although, uh, well, anyway. But Peter Fonda says, "Nah, man, we blew it. We blew it." And it's left ambiguous like what he means by that. And then they go down to the south and some MAGA guys that you would say
Right.
now. So well, that's kind of like let's mess with them. But by messing with them, they blow them away with shotguns, and the movie ends. And a weird way to get because you hear the two guys in the truck go, "Yeah, let's just kind of goof around with them." But it escalates really quickly. He flips them off, and the shotgun comes out, and they actually kill him. But my friend in film school was like, "There's something about like." He was bothered by the fact that he said we blew it, and like, what did they blow? What was the blowing it? And I said, now that we've seen the whole generation of boomers start out as hippies and do what they did and
Yeah.
actually all turn into yuppies and go for the money and the boats and the cars and the
Maybe
rich.
that was it.
And it's like we blew it. Our dream
We
is the
sold
wrong
out.
one, and
Yeah.
we're doing it wrong. I'm like, wow, that's in the movie. It was in there the whole time.
Well,
Okay,
because they
boomer,
make a
there you
big
go.
deal
Easy
of
Rider tells you how your destiny was
how you're
gonna
going to
go.
screw up. Yeah.
You're gonna
Yeah,
screw
because
it.
in the movie early on, when they spend time with the farmer family, and they go, and Peter Fonda goes, hey, no, I dig it. You're doing your thing in your own time, your own thing in your own time. I dig it. And it's like, that was what the hippie ethic was, right? You weren't in the rat race. You weren't chasing the golden ring.
Right.
You were just doing your own thing in your own time. But at the very beginning of they're making a big score, and I think it's on with cocaine, is
I
it?
think so. Yeah.
And they're at the end of the runway of LAX, and Warren. scoring the big sale, and then they're going to go all the way from California to Florida
To Florida.
and run into Jack Nicholson on the way. So
Right.
yeah, it's interesting. I hadn't really thought about it, blow it part for that, because you're right. It's after. Oh, and I think doesn't Nicholson get stomped right before that during
Yeah,
the
because he's
campfire?
not there by the end of the movie.
No,
But
I
I
think he
haven't
gets
rewatched the
killed.
scene where he lead. Oh, does he?
Yeah, I think he gets bludgeoned. You know, they're all
Oh,
sleeping after the campfire,
oh
and
yeah.
a bunch of people from town come in, and
And he's the
they go
victim of
after
that.
him. Yeah, he's the victim. And I think that, part of the fact that they maybe that had something to do with. I kind of back then thought, oh, the blowing it was, um, you know, their friend got killed, and he kind of felt guilty because it was because of him, because of them. Because he loved their lifestyle. He said, no, you guys doing it right. This is the way to do it.
Yeah, he wasn't originally. He was kind of seduced into what they were doing.
Right. He was supposed to be, he was a lawyer. He was the a lawyer who was the son of one of the town scions, and,
Right. So he
just
could have
drink.
lived a safe
Over.
life if he never gotten involved with them. I don't know. And they were kind of making it up as they went. It's
I
one of those
did.
things where, like, let's actually go on a road trip and keep making up scenes as we go and see if we come up with something.
Now
And
I read a book about that version, that new Hollywood thing.
Easy
And then
Riders Raging Bulls.
that's it. Have
Yeah.
you read that one?
Yeah. And there's a documentary version of it as well.
Okay. Well, there's a story in there. The Ray Band, or the Ray Burt guys, gave them money to go make the movie. And originally Hopper was going to direct. And they went down and they shot that crazy psychedelic stuff in New Orleans
Right.
first.
Oh,
And
okay.
and they spent pretty much the whole budget doing just that one little section. And they came back, and the Ray Burt guys were watching it and go, this this is what what is this? This is just you made a
You
home movie of
effing
your
around with our 35 millimeter cameras. You
right.
know how
And
expensive this film is.
those scenes didn't look so good, that they were lit badly,
Yes.
um, and so they took the movie away from Hopper, and they gave it to Fonda, and he was the guy who turned it into, whatever narrative there is.
Kind
Was
of made
because
it,
Fonda made it work, and Fonda made sure that they had a DP who would make the rest of the film look good.
which
And
it largely does.
it does. And very cleverly said, how do we use this really bad footage from, oh, it's just it's just a hallucinogenic trip.
It
So
explains it perfectly. In context, yes, that's what it looks like.
yeah. And so yeah, I thought, oh, that's a very interesting story, because all the stories of how these guys, like the Raybert people, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they were behind the TV
The
production
monkeys,
company Screen Gems.
Rafelson and Schneider,
Ben
maybe.
Bert Schneider, yeah.
Yeah.
Ben Rafelson
Yes,
and
from
Ben
the monkeys,
Bert
and that's
Schneider.
why Jack Nicholson wrote the Monkeys movie Head. He was the screenwriter of the Monkeys weird tripped out movie
Oh, I
because
didn't
he
know
was
that.
friends with the
With the
birds.
Rayberts?
Yes, and I am.
That
Which,
wasn't their
if you
company
haven't
called
seen
Screen
Head, the
Gems?
Monkeys movie, it's interesting. They wanted to totally deconstruct what their whole deal was. We're a fake band, but we are real musicians. But now little kids like want to scream and idolize us, but we're really not into that, man. And the whole movie like tears apart everything they were. And then they released it to theaters, and all the little teen girls went to see it and went, huh? It's basically a
Scandalized.
sketch movie. It's just a bunch of little sketches all strung together. It's not a narrative, but
Okay.
but then it says, written by Jack Nicholson, and you're like, yeah, that Jack
I had no
Nicholson?
idea.
Yes,
I knew
that
I
Jack
knew he knew
Nicholson.
those guys. I knew he knew those guys because I think that's how he got involved in Easy Rider.
Yes,
But yeah, it was because they were um,
they were a little
they
independent production studio of their
called
own.
Screen Gems, I think, and then
Oh,
Raybert Productions came out of that. And Screen Gems was what they produced for TV generally, generally.
yes. There's a lot of TV from that era that says Screen Gems on it.
And I think that was them. I think it was Rafelson and
A lot of it, and this was back when Hollywood was a smaller town,
yeah,
and there were parties, open parties all weekend long. And so you'd go and you'd hang out by the pool and you'd talk and you'd make these casual deals that would actually end up making a movie somehow or a TV show. And you're just meeting everybody and
right.
and you're meeting the musicians too. The musicians are all everyone's living up in the hills off Mulholland or Sunset or something, and
Yeah,
that's where the parties
like in
were.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yes, that's
Right.
very much what Tarantino was trying to
Right.
get at.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was a whole scene, man. It's different now. That's what I hear. I
Oh
still
yeah. Well,
marvel
you know
that
the
anything gets made at all now. I don't know how any of it works anymore.
it's you know I think they we are now at the same period we were when these guys became viable in Hollywood because just like then, the studios don't know what to make that people want to watch.
Yeah,
They have no idea. And I
yeah,
think that's happening now because there are so many movies that people are putting up as tent poles and they're failing. They're not
yeah.
getting any audience. And because I don't think they know what to do at this point. And so just like they were doing Dr. Doolittle, and, Darby
They were
O'Gill
doing
and
Dr.
Little People.
Doolittle while Robert Altman was making MASH, and these guys were making
Right,
Easy Rider.
right. Yeah, because they just had no idea, and the Paramount guys just threw up their hands and went, "Oh no, you do something. Here's some money. Go make something." Like
Yeah,
that's how Chinatown got made. It's
right. Well, I don't know. We don't
now
know.
they
Go
had
make it.
talented
See what
guys.
happens.
They had Robert Towns or Town, I guess, not
Robert
Town.
Town, the screenwriter,
Yep, and apparently he wrote what do you say, a 400-page script to begin
page
with.
script. We're
and,
seeing the abridged version.
and then you had the very talented, and later to be known to be a creep, um, filmmaker from Poland. Um,
Yes. But
and
he
you,
was a talented filmmaker.
oh
This is
yeah,
what
he
makes it
was. There's
difficult to talk about him because you
there's
can't
no
throw
doubt
out
about
his
it.
film work because, like, damn it, his films are good.
Yeah,
Um,
and
but that doesn't
and
excuse the creepiness, which is
oh
really
no,
pretty awful creepiness.
yeah.
Um, just to say,
But Paramount, I don't think they would have given Evans full control to do that if they knew what they basically admitted we don't know what people.
yeah,
We
and it's
have no
also
idea.
it was the weird part where studios had been their own entity, but it
Right.
was starting to be the Gulf&Western now owns
The corporatization of Hollywood.
Paramount, and
Yes, they
it's
bought
almost
them
like
from the
Didn't Coca
moguls.
Cola own Warner Brothers for a while or something? I don't know.
Pepsi Cola owned a big portion of something. One of them, I
Anyway,
don't know which
so it
one.
was a weird time because so then there's just these, we're in here in Hollywood, but the banks that finance the corporation that own us are all in New York. So you have to occasionally fly to New York and have a bunch of guys that know nothing about anything.
They're
Uh,
just money men.
they're just money men sitting around a table, and you're having to convince them that Chinatown's a good idea for a movie or The Godfather is going to work.
And it was that we both read the book, but it's been a long time for me. It's been at least 30 years. Mm. Was that the when Evans had to go to Gulf&Western and sit in their boardroom on the 37th floor of their building in New York and
Yeah.
explain this to them, and
Yes.
it was such a good. Okay, I think yeah. Now that I think about it, yeah, and it's just like this crazy shit,
Yeah.
and
He had to use the fact that he was tanned and charming to make movies somehow. But if you've
yeah,
seen the documentary specifically about, the kid stays in the picture and
I
you
have
hear
seen
his
that.
voice and he's got this smooth gravelly
Yes, he
thing,
had a
and
really good, really,
yeah,
really, yeah. He just seemed like a Hollywood dude, you know.
he's really quintessentially Hollywood dude. um, because he embodies that certain era, and yeah, and
And
he was married to
for a
Ollie
while there,
McGraw until he said, "Hey, go make a picture with Steve McQueen." Then he wasn't married to Ollie McGraw anymore.
yeah,
Whoops.
and he knew it too. There's a scene in the book where he goes, he finally figured, ah, damn it,
It's
she stood
when
in Steve McQueen.
I think about when Steve Majors was married to sorry, Steve Majors, Lee Majors, Steve Austin. Lee Majors was married to Farrah Fawcett Majors. That's what her
Yes.
name was on Charlie's Angels. And then he said, "Hey, I'm going out of town. Hey, Ryan O'Neal, why don't you look after my wife for a weekend?" He came back,
Oops.
no more wife, and no more Farrah Fawcett Majors anymore. Yeah. Yeah, you got to watch out which best friend you let look after your wife for the weekend. Oh boy,
Crazy.
when everyone's the most beautiful people in the world and they're all hanging
I was
out.
just gonna say, you find an ugly friend to hook her up with.
Hey, Wally Shawn, why don't you look after Farrah this weekend? I'd be
Yeah.
delighted to.
Do you want to read one of my dirty plays?
Do you want to read one of my plays? It's 9 hours long, but it's about capitalism. Okay. I haven't actually.
That's pretty good, Sean. Pretty good, Sean.
He doesn't quite have a lisp, but it's like his tongue
Almost.
stays too forward, just a little bit too much.
Yeah,
Um,
that's it.
that's it. That's the secret.
And for those of
Somehow
you
that
who don't know who the hell we're talking about, he was the Italian in The Princess Bride.
inconceivable.
Do not
Therefore, I
think
cannot
that
drink
word
the potion in front of me. He's that guy. Also, in my dinner with Andre, he was
Oh
the guy
yeah.
that had dinner with Andre. Right. Um, Someone just they did like a 50th anniversary restaging of it in New York off Broadway or something like that. He's still active, I think, in that
Mhm,
sort of
mhm.
capacity. He still writes things. I really actually have never seen or read any of his work, but I know it's kind of intense. I get the sense.
Yes. Norman knows his work, and he says
Hmm.
it's all very hard to produce.
Yes,
Yeah.
difficult, challenging for an audience.
Yes. Difficult. Difficult.
Difficult.
So that it was the I remember seeing something with him. Well, I think it was in my dinner with Andre. Where they go into an old Broadway theater and it has a tree growing through the collapsed roof. Do you
Hmm.
remember this? Was that in that movie or am I hallucinating?
I cannot recall. I mean, there are a couple
Was
of scenes that aren't in the restaurant, but I don't remember.
mm, because it had to do with
I'm also
it
thinking
had to
of
do.
Vanya on 42nd Street.
Oh, that's what it was. That's
Is
what
that
it
what it
was.
was?
Because yeah, thank you for because I had a feeling I
Look
was
at the brain
conflating.
on Brad.
Yeah, very good. I had a feeling I was conflating two different things, but it was Vanya on 42nd Street where they're trying to find a venue for it, and they
Right.
walk into an old vaudeville theater,
And there's
and the roof had collapsed, and a tree was growing through where the stage used to be, something like that.
I would immediately think, can we use this? Can we
Yeah,
use the
yeah.
tree? But you can't have a open roof in a. I don't know. Actually,
Maybe you can. I don't know. Those guys probably could pull it off, being avant-garde.
are you working on anything this summer?
Uh, well, yeah. Alan and I are trying to keep the Zero World story world going,
Okay.
so that the news on the film Shadow of Doom is it got into a fun indie in Indianapolis, and it won Best Feature. And there it is, Adventures in Zero World. And it
Oh,
won
what?
Best Feature and Best Production Design.
Excellent.
Yeah, very cool. And so that was, I think that was May 8th and 9th was when the festival. Um, so we're hoping to parlay that into something. So we're working on series work that could come out of the story. And since the movie introduces the Space Command people, uh, one of the series we could have ready for people is the Space Commander series.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're working on that, and um, there's some really fun, cool stuff coming out of that, and so it's fun to be involved. He has the fertile imagination, and I end up being the guy in the writers' room to help him punch things up.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
that's a
that's
great
cool.
idea. What if we do this? What if we do that? And, it's fun. It is fun.
Where is he based? Is he
He's in Temple right now.
Temple?
They
Okay.
are, since his son has graduated high school, they're not tied to Temple anymore. They're trying to look for a new place to be, but they haven't made up their mind yet.
Okay. Just curious.
Hmm.
I had there's a guy I know at my writers meeting who wrote a script. I guess he says he's done some short films, and he's brand new to any kind of filmmaking, but I guess he might have made some money in software in some way, and now he's feeling like I got money to be creative, and he asked me to read his script. And it's funny 'cause in the class, I got to be careful. He might watch this video, so I'm just going to be complimentary. He's a lovely guy. I love his writing in class when we do spontaneous exercises. He comes up with great stuff. But he was saying things before when he was hesitant, like, I'm going to show you my script, but I'm not sure yet. And I'm like, but isn't it fun when, like, it seems like writing is just like stuff from your subconscious and then it comes out on the page. And I'm thinking, yeah, even if you're writing, you have a whole plot that you're working on, somehow some things from your life go into it. No, actually, he was sort of almost like free associative writing, or like Kerouac on the road on one giant roll of typewriter paper. And so, but it sort of has the structure of just phantasmagorical road trip, talking about road
Okay.
trip movies. So one fantastic scene, and then it kind of does its thing, and then they move down the road, and there's another kind of strange thing. And he is describing colors and scenery and all sorts of stuff. And I'm thinking he's going to have to do some kind of green screen stuff. And I was thinking, well, Alan is too busy doing his own thing to like help this guy. But I was almost thinking, you should talk to somebody that knows. Because what I
Knows how to
even
do that.
said,
Yeah.
I think you might need to use green screen to pull this off. Um, he almost sort of said, "What's that?" And I thought,
Ah.
ah, so that's when I felt like, how much do I want to get involved if we're not even on the same page as to what that means? You might, if you described it some more, he goes, "Oh, that." But it was like, what's that? Okay, because I'm trying to tell him what you're trying to do is pretty ambitious, and then at best you're gonna, you'll find an audience like a late night midnight movie,
Midnight movie
young
type thing.
crowd. And it's not crazy in the world. And like there have been movies like this. David Lynch's movies are surreal. It
Yeah.
can work. And I said, you might want to try and find more structure in it. He was like, I kind of want to do it in the order it came out of my head. I'm like, okay, okay. These are all severe limitations. But he is talking about like he has a lot of money to throw at it. But I'm like, I don't want you to waste it. And he was
Yeah.
trying to see if I could be some sort of helpful consultant. But I'm like, the I want to kind of help him do it, but I also don't want to get tied into something that's just going to be kind of a slog for me to like, and I'm not really being heard when I say sensible things,
Mm.
kind of thing. Um,
Well,
but I
maybe
do,
he's
I wish him well on it. But and
yeah.
he mentioned he wanted to do it on some really extreme fast schedule. Like we have 22 days. He says I've got a producer who says we should do it in 22 days, and I'm thinking, you could spread it out over a longer time. I mean, I'm starting to say, I made the Cron experiment. It took me a while, but it didn't kill everybody to do it that way. But he's like, no,
because you did
we
it in
like
chunks.
he didn't want to do it in a train. He wanted to do it in one chunk. And I'm
Oh
like, but
boy.
there's so much ambition in the fact that it is this freely imaginative thing. And I'm like, did crazy costumes, set decoration? The only thing I really left him with that he went, aha, I like that, is that I had a really good class called film aesthetics that you can impose structure, narrative structure with the classic builds and momentum, and by changing the visuals as you go, start more plain and drab and washed out looking and longer lenses, and then get more like Terry Gilliam as you go. The colors get more extreme as you go, and then you can tone it down and fade it back. So even though you're just going scene to scene to scene, it feels like there's a progression and a flow that the audience can follow along with. And he was like, that's a
Mm-hmm.
good idea. And I said, yeah, I think so.
You need something to provide an arc
You need something to
or a
prodvide an
path.
arc. There has to be
Yeah.
something. I mean, I have
Yeah.
set, the Magic Mountain, or I don't know what, the Jodorowsky things are really
Yeah.
difficult, but you do watch them and they have an audience. And so I'm like, I was saying the only thing I
I'm
can, yeah,
actually fascinated with them. The Magic Mountain was the alchemist turning the poop to gold, wasn't it?
right. I think
Yeah, yeah.
so. Yes.
There's something really interesting, and
There's an idea
that's right.
behind
He's
it.
the guru, right? And yeah, and he was the son of wasn't it some Soviet dissident came to town, and that's how he became Hodorovsky. And but he was born where in somewhere in South America, right? Chile?
I think you
I
yeah,
can't
I think you
remember
are
now.
correct. But I'm forgetting. But
Yeah, but he was. There was a really fun movie about him, Hodorovsky's Dune, where he just got it in his head. He wanted to make the film version of Dune, and was trying to convince people to let him do it. And there's he heard that Lynch was going to do a version of it, and
right.
he thought, oh well, he's a great filmmaker. He'll. And he said, but I looked at it and I was very disappointed because it was so conventional, and because he had all kinds of crazy ideas, and,
Yeah.
and really wanted to break ground with it, make
Yeah.
it mind blowing.
Yeah.
And I will say this is that they think that Ridley Scott got hooked up with
Giger.
yes, because of
He right. He
Jodorowsky
had
trying to
H.R.
get him
Giger doing
involved.
concept art for Dune.
Yeah,
And so the book of art was floating around, and Ridley
it's like
Scott
this.
was like, hey, who's this
Hey, but
guy?
who's that guy? What a designer! And that
um
became the famous Alien.
so anyway, I may end up opting to remain writing workshop friends with this guy instead of going on his magical phantasmagorical adventure with him.
He's fighting off, you and I know how hard it is to make anything
that's the
feature
thing. He
length.
doesn't quite
And
understand.
when you need to make a bunch of shorts, I think, and fail a lot, and do the failures in a short,
I mean, and in
because
some
it would
sense,
be very disappointing to make those mistakes in your first feature, which is very ambitious.
yes.
I don't know. I would
Because
rather
you could
make them.
produce this as a series of shorts because it's all these little adventures anyway.
And it's kind of episodic anyway, right?
It's kind of episodic anyway. You have to keep the cast together over a longer time. But if he actually has money,
You could do that.
you can do that. Anyway,
Now,
but so it's this
the
thing I'm
counter
kind of
argument.
wrestling with. Like, I really want to support him, but when I read it, I was a little surprised at first what it was. Like, this is not the same as your writing exercises in class. This is a different thing. But I said, "Are you absolutely serious that you want to make this as a feature film?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "Okay, okay. Well, then you
I'm
have
not
to
going to
find
say
people
no.
that get on board with you and know that we're fulfilling your vision, whoever the team you have. But if you're sure about that, you can get a crew and they will do their best to get what's in your head and try and make it. But it's going to be really hard, and the hours are. I mean, it's going to be 18-hour days, 22 days in a row. It's. I don't even know if he would accept the Steve Mims 4 days on, 3 days off plan, which was an amazing idea. That really helped. Getting that extra day off on the weekend, so you come back fresh every time. One of Steve Mims' good ideas. He had so many.
And
Feeding
he
people
pointed
really
out,
good food. Another good idea.
make sure everybody's fed right. And I followed that when I did Pantsless. I made sure everybody ate well.
I did the best I could with Crone having food, not M&Ms. And we would go to HEB
Ben
and
would
buy,
give you
sandwich
snacks.
meat and stuff, and juice instead of soda. I don't know whether that helps or not. It's just sugar water anyway, but it seemed better to us. I don't know. But we spent actually most of the cash outlay on Crone was buying food at HEB.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, but I learned that from Steve. I'm like,
yeah, me too.
because working on his films was just a much better experience because the food was better. So after lunch, you're raring to go another 6 hours. It just really helped. Anyway. So props to Steve. Well, we've talked another hour. It's like the car talk thing. We've managed to
You
waste
wasted
another
another
hour.
perfectly good hour.
Perfectly good hour here on Tom and Rob Chat. Well, yeah, we managed to. There were some slippery spots at the beginning where I really wasn't sure what to talk about, but we managed to figure it out. We got into Easy Rider, and that took us on our
It kind of
journey.
took us down the road. Yeah, there you go.
All
So to
right.
speak.
Well, I'd love to see you next week too, if we can manage it.
Yeah, if we can do it, let's do it.
It will be June. It will be June. We're getting
Yes, it will.
2026 is zipping by at a crazy speed. All right. Well, Tom, thanks for chatting again today. I will see you next time. And bye, everybody.
All right.
See you out
Bye-bye.
there. Bye-bye. Oh, what button do I hit to stop? Okay, here we go. Bye-bye.